Welcome to my channel. Today's scary story comes from a user. A man in his early 20s was home alone one night. This was just an ordinary day. Nothing had happened that made this day any different from the last or the next. As he was making dinner, he heard his phone ring. He picked it up, and it was his boss calling him to let him know that he didn't have to come in the next day, so he could sleep in. He hung up and went about his evening. About an hour later, he heard his phone ring again. He looked at it, and it was his boss calling him again. He answered, and his boss said, "You need to come into work tomorrow at 9 a.m. sharp. It's important." He then hung up and went to bed. An hour later, he was awoken by his phone ringing. He answered, and it was his boss again. He said, "Don't answer the phone if it rings again," and then he hung up. Immediately after he got off the phone, he heard a knock at the door. He went to check, and there was no one there. He assumed it was his neighbor and went back to bed. At 9:02 p.m., he was awoken by a phone call. He answered, "Hey, it's you." Don't open the closet at 9:03 p.m. The clock on the wall read 9:02 p.m. Startled, he quickly got out of bed and ran to the closet. He barricaded the door with a dresser. Then he heard scratching at the closet door. He got a second phone call. This time the voice sounded distorted, like it was coming from under a sheet. "Too late," it said. He dropped the phone and the closet door began to rattle violently. The scratching became more frantic. Suddenly the door burst open and he screamed. But it wasn't his neighbor. It was his own corpse. The end. If you like scary stories, stay tuned for more. Also, be sure to check out our podcast where we publish the best horror fiction and scary tales. Thanks for listening.